I've seen the BC game hype. I've seen people getting excited. So I am going to have to lay down the law and let you guys know why this roster is not going to work out. And not only is it not going to work out, it is going to be far less than the sum of its parts. It's going to be incredibly disappointing. And I say that as a simple glazer. Call me delusional, but I think he can get back to the top. Maybe not the best player in the world, but I think he could be a top 20 player again. And yet I don't believe in this roster. And you might be saying, Hawka, look at the names. They got Magisk, they got Senzu, they got Mzinho in. This looks like a good roster. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to be as good as 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves will be better, and I wanted this to be a bit of a hot take, but I took too long to record the video, and now we've seen 100 Thieves actually play well and get some decent results. But also, let's be real, it's the Blast Bounty. No one cares. I'm sorry, unfortunately, no one cares. You can tell the teams themselves don't really care that much. It is what it is. These results don't mean much, but let's get on to BC.Game. And before I start, all of this comes from a place of love, okay? I want the best for Simple. I want him back on top, okay? I want the best for all these players. I just think this is a terrible fit for basically everyone on this team. Which I don't know how that's possible, but somehow it is. Like, that's kind of impressive to do, right? But overall, I just think everyone else would be better served being somewhere else, okay? First of all, we have to talk about the Mongolian guys, I think. Because you look at the Mongols, they have come in, they've picked up two random guys we barely even know, right? And they're still doing all right for themselves. Like, I know it's only against Wildcard and Heroic, but in general, I think there's been a strong feeling along a lot of people that the Mongols have done well because of how good they are as a team and some of their chemistry and their in-game leader Blitz and their coach Mara. Because even when they started coming up in the scene, we were worried when they made their initial roster moves, when they got rid of guys like Bartak, who you haven't heard of since. We were worried there wasn't enough talent in this region to really make this work. But somehow, despite every other Mongolian team being completely irrelevant, clearly the core of this team, the leading, the overall coaching, clearly was causing this team to do well. It has to be. It simply has to be. Because why would there not be another Mongolian team that was at least decent otherwise? Why would some of the former players of this team not be going on to do some other stuff? So I'm going to go ahead and say, as much as I like Senzu and Mzinho, I don't think they're these crazy good players that maybe everyone else does. Like, honestly, I think overall, you would be better off just sticking European and going with like some up-and-coming European players, right? I don't know who exactly you could have got. Maybe it was easier to get the Mongols players. I don't know. But overall, apart from maybe Senzu, who I think is a bit of a standout, even then, I think he gets a bit overhyped. But I don't think these are some crazy skilled players. Sure, they've got good aim, but I don't know if necessarily they are these super tenured players that can just slot into an international team and immediately do well, okay? Like Mzinho, he's a pretty good player as a part of the team, right? I know the Mongols, obviously, like, we saw it. They still did pretty well without Senzu. They weren't quite as good, because I do think Senzu can be a game changer, but I don't think he's that level of game changer that you are expecting him to be on this team. I don't think he can suddenly be the main guy alongside Simple. I don't think you're going to see that necessarily, okay? I think Senzu was just a step above the Mongols players, and in that system, he was able to just propel them that bit further and towards major playoffs and major finals, which was very impressive. But we're stepping into a team where they're speaking English, guys. They're speaking English, and this clash to me scares me massively, okay? Because Senzu had the podcast recently, okay? And there's a lot he said in here. But first of all, okay, we can actually go here. Left the Mongols by his own decision, as he had mental issues, lack of confidence in himself, even thought about retiring. That is when he is on the Mongols, a team where realistically they should all be saying to him, oh my God, you're great. Please stay. We're giving you everything to be the best you can be. And even there, he had a lack of confidence. He said he thought about retiring and had mental issues, right? He even said, I was ditching practices and was kind of slacking, which made him feel like he was burnt out. You know what is the last thing I would do if I had a player who literally thought about retiring, had a lack of confidence, had mental issues, was ditching practice, was slacking because he felt like he was burnt out? The last thing I would do is put this guy on a team with Simple, bro. Oh my goodness. Because look, I love Simple, and we have to talk about Simple because he's the main part of this team. And I think Simple's personality is actually good, okay? If you don't know what I mean, Simple genuinely can be incredibly harsh on his teammates, right? He will be very harsh on you because he has that drive to be the best. And this is something you see in some of the best athletes and best competitors of all time. Genuinely, if you guys look up Michael Jordan, honestly, you should do it. It's kind of funny. This guy would borderline bully people in practices, right? Over in the NBA. Like, he would, because he knew he was putting in everything he could to be the best, and he didn't really understand why other people couldn't be as good as him. So he's out there saying, look, I'm putting all this drive in. You're not even as good as me, and I'm putting in more effort than you, right? There's that feeling of it. I'm terrified that Simple is going to get frustrated with these guys because, firstly, we're hearing this about Senzu already, but secondly, guys, the communication is going to be a huge issue on this team. And I have seen Simple get so mad at his teammates when they make simple mistakes. You know what happens when there are communication issues? A lot of simple mistakes, right? Not Simple the player. Simple and obvious mistakes. Okay, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Simple's not going to be making mistakes, right? A lot of basic errors. That's the way we'll phrase it instead, okay? That's going to start happening. And I think at the start, it'll be okay. Because Senzu will be refreshed and he'll be revigorated. He'll be excited to play with Simple. He'll be able to manage it. But I think slowly over time, him and Mzinho to an extent, I think these two guys could really struggle with that, right? Because it's not even just Simple. It's also Electronic who's like this. And that's why they've worked well in the past. And also, again, if you could have players around Simple and Electronic who thrive off of that environment, that can work. I don't think this is some negative, bad thing. I think if you have people who have the same level of hunger and drive, they will know if they made a mistake that when you're shitting on them, it's because they know they want to be better, right? I think that can be fine. And obviously, we already had this. Simple yelling at him, explained as a misunderstanding. And even here, yeah, he is a perfectionist. And look, Senzu says it's the right mindset. And again, he is different outside of the game. I don't know. I still think you're going to be playing a lot of Counter-Strike, right? Because remember, you're going to be grinding from nothing. And this is the other issue. You have no VRS rank, so you have to grind these lands. You have to grind from nothing. We've seen, I'm sorry, Simple is always checked out in these scenarios. Like, until you start getting into somewhat relevant games, he's going to be a bit checked out. Like, maybe he'll be reinvigorated at the start, and maybe if you can hit the ground running and very quickly build up, that can work. But if that doesn't happen, Simple's going to check out pretty quick. I can tell you. I can guarantee you that. And you'll need the rest of the structure of the team to work out, okay? We go down even further, okay, into the Senzu interview, right? You can see here the difference between the Mongols and other teams he played in. It was so different in Mongols. We would just wake up at 11 or 12 to be ready at our PCs, right? We just do our individual stuff by ourselves. But here, it's more like 9 to 5 office work. We have very strict schedules. And basically, he said even down here, apparently now the Mongols do practice more and they fix this. But it sounds like they are coming from a much looser environment. They're coming from a much more chill practice environment. I also wonder how that's going to affect these guys. Remember, you're moving them like out of their home, right? You're moving them. And yes, at least they have each other. That is nice for Senzu and Mzinho. I actually think that will at least help somewhat. I still think I've seen this before where some of these players, they can really struggle with this. And when you put all these aspects together, when you're away from home, you're away from your family and friends, right? Pretty much all of the time, you're going to be away from them because you have to commit to grinding with this team, right? That alongside probably getting pretty, you know, antagonistically called out, let's say, in game by Simple and Electronic. And that will happen in practices too, by the way. I'm sure that will happen in practices too, right? And then he even says, right? Where's the English part? Okay, do you have English? Basically, at some point, he says, like, when he joined Passion UA, yeah, here we go, up here. I went there without zero knowledge of English, and I was a bit worried about it. But the team and the atmosphere was great, and they helped me. I don't think your English is going to have improved that much in that short of a time, bro. He was on Passion UA for, like, 2 months. Like, the English is going to be an issue, right? It clearly is going to be an issue, right? And, by the way, on Passion UA, Senzu was good. He put up really good numbers, right? They had Try on the team who did well. But this is a team that had JT, who everyone is now loving now that he's gone to Liquid. And I love JT too. And I think he's a great in-game leader too. So tell me, even though the fact that Senzu put up great numbers, why did they like struggle to do anything? Right? Why did they finish third place at this Fragadelphia? I don't actually know if Senzu was playing at this one. Was he? I think he maybe was back. Yeah, he was. Why did that happen, right? Why can they not get any wins at Rio here? Like, why could they not win even this LAN against Sangao to make it to the major? Like, there has to be something else going on here where the structure of the team clearly was not working. And I think that in big part has to be probably because I think Senzu was putting up numbers. It wasn't leading to results, though, right? And that's before we even get into, right? I already have said communication issues are going to cause errors, and that is going to cause frustration for the players. And I just think you're going to get a lot of silly rounds lost that are going to be really costly for this team, right? I've already said that. I also think Electronic is the kind of guy who can just make silly mistakes like all the time. Like here, look on the minimap, right? He was like, you saw him just flick. He was genuinely playing. He's not lagged out or anything. This is on LAN. He's just for some reason got his knife out. But by the way, I don't think this is a good push from VSM. You're in a 5v3. You do not need to take this risk. That's a huge risk. He probably should just die, but he just has his knife out for no reason. Cool. Okay. Then you have like this one. Get their mechanics out. It is not where you're into the 2v2. Nico throws a flash at long that completely baits Electronic, who just is walking with his knife out. Like, I just think there's going to be stuff like this. And this isn't even counting. There's one on Mirage I couldn't find that's so bad where Electronic just looks lost. I'm sorry. Electronic is being put in a lot of important positions on this team. I think he's always at his best when he's just like entering and going in first. I don't always think this guy can make the best decisions in the mid round, which might seem wild to say because he tried in-game leading for a while. We know how that went, okay? Didn't go well. But you have Electronic here, Simple's right-hand man, who also kind of likes to be antagonistic towards players. The power balance is going to be really messed up, I think, right? And unfortunately, when you have a coach like Taz, I don't think Taz can do much about this. I don't think Taz is suddenly going to get on side with Senzu and Mzinho. And this ties into something else, because I love the idea of Magisk being an IGL, okay? I think it's a great idea. I actually think he could genuinely be a top in-game leader. I think this is the worst way to start his in-game leading career. This is the worst way to do it. Hey, Magisk, you want to try in-game leading? Yeah, just in-game lead Electronic, who's overthrown a bunch of in-game leaders in the past. Simple, who's not really trying unless you can get to a decent enough level. And two Mongolian guys who don't have great English. Just merge all those guys together and make it work, Magisk. What? How is that going to make sense? I'm terrified for him, bro. And I don't think Taz is this strong coach that's going to be helping him with his calling, right? Like, Taz was coaching G2 before. G2 looked so loose under Taz. I'm sorry. They generally look loose, but I think they looked loose under Taz as well. So I think this team just turns into like a bit of a loose, puggy team. And that terrifies me because I think Magisk could be a pretty damn good, like, structured in-game leader. I think he at least wants some structure to his calling. I don't think he needs to be like some super old school Astralis, like super tactical team or anything. But I think he probably wants like to set up some ideas. Like, I think that's where Magisk has done his best work in the past. I've seen him call some good games on Nuke actually when he tried in-game leading. I'm just terrified this is going to doom his in-game leading career. Because so often, guys, you've seen it. One team and people are immediately out on an in-game leader. Like, Glaive went to Ents. He couldn't do anything there. People were like, oh, he's just not a good in-game leader anymore. I'm terrified that's going to happen to Magisk, man. I'm terrified because I'm scared that could basically screw his in-game leading career before it's begun. And I still think he could be a good IGL. And I know what you guys are going to say because we've seen it recently, but Hawka, the vibes are good. Look. The vibes are good in BC game. It's all good, right? Let me tell you right now. The vibes are good until they're bad. Until you start losing, right? When you're winning, when you're early on, it's all good. It's all fine. You guys, I'm sure you guys have seen the classic relationships in the past. The first month or two, lovely, all good, all fine. And then you start seeing the mistakes and you start seeing what you don't like. And it just starts hitting you slowly over time. And slowly over time, I genuinely think the frustration is going to creep in. And unless they can really hit the ground running, which would require just some insane natural synergy, I just think they're going to play way lower than the level of these players. And I also think, here's another issue. When that happens, people will start to get frustrated within the team because they will be thinking, we should be way better than this. I should be way better than this. Why are we not winning? Why are we not able to win at these random local lands? Because the other teams are going to be structured at least. And if you can't do that, if you can't play at least some decent structured Counter-Strike without getting frustrated, that's going to cost you, right? And what do I mean by structured Counter-Strike, okay? Look here at this utility graph, okay? Smokes thrown per round, flashbangs thrown per round. Literally, outside of Simple, who, by the way, if I moved my big damn face out the way, get my face out of the way. Can we get my face out the way? I'm trying to. Oh, well, that's the wrong thing. There we go. Even compared to other AWPers, Simple actually is on like the low end of utility. You can see the AWPers are in orange on this graph. A lot of them are actually up here, right? But outside of that, normally your in-game leader is throwing a bunch of utility, right? You need a hard support player, right, on the team. That's what you want. And you can see all these guys, they're throwing a bunch of smokes. They're throwing a bunch of flashes. Look at this group of guys for BC.Game, bro. Magisk is going to have to improve this massively. He needs to be grinding hard because he needs to be like a utility god up here, I genuinely think. Outside of that, I don't know who out of these guys is going to step up utility-wise. I think it should be Electronic. I think he's in some central positions. I think he could throw some more flashes, but still, it scares me. It does scare me seeing none of these guys really have great utility numbers historically, okay? That scares me that this will be a team that end up kind of turning into like a really loose puggy team that don't really put as much work in as you want them to, right? And again, I'm telling you, the comms are going to be like, I can just see it. The comms are going to be bad. Mistakes are going to creep in. Simple and Electronic will get annoyed. I could see two camps forming like so incredibly easily. And I'm sorry, I don't think the Mongolian guys are going to be able to stand up for themselves. Like, I just don't. I don't think they're going to stand up for themselves in the way you would want, unfortunately. Again, and with, by the way, here's the other part of this, okay? If you had a different coach, maybe I could see the utility improving. If you had a super tactical coach, maybe he's going to come in and start giving some good utility advice. We got Taz, bro. I don't think Taz is that guy. I just don't. Oh, no. Okay, and here's the other part of this that I actually think will happen. I genuinely think BC.Game, and I wonder if they've done this partly because they've realized if they just pick up the two Mongolian guys, they could try and switch to the Asian RMR. And this is honestly how I could so easily see this season happening. They don't quite make it to the European RMR, like major. Oh, sorry, not RMR, that major. They don't quite make it to the major through Europe. They realize they're not going to like make it to events enough. And so they just switch someone out to go Asian. I honestly wonder if they're just going for like a really cynical angle like that, because I just don't see how these guys clash well together. I do want to see, okay, if you want the one reason why maybe the Mongolian guys can, because I do see them as like generally not able to like stand their ground or not able to really deal with like the pressure of playing with a Simple, you know, and of having him criticize you as like basically their idol, which is what Senzu said. Maybe this is the only reason why. Because yes, Senzu and Mzinho basically made a name for themselves. It says here, trash talking people, right, at local lands, right? They would trash talk people online. They would trash talk people in local lands. So maybe they do like the trash talk, and maybe they do like mess with that. Maybe they enjoy that. Maybe that could bring good out of them. I just don't see it, man. I think it's different when you're trash talking other people within the team compared to having your idol like probably not trash talking you, but like getting annoyed at you, right? And I think that could bring this team down so much. I really do. I just don't see how Magisk is going to be able to pull the pieces together. First time in-game leading, like, you want people that at least can have good comms. I just don't think we're going to get those good comms, man. I'm scared. I do want to end on one thing as well. I think 100 Thieves, man. I think they will be better. I really do. I think we've seen the season start well for them. I really like Device. Poya's been pretty good, but I actually think Syrah is solid on this team. I think he holds up well against the top competition. And I just think Gizmi's a really good, proven in-game leader. And this is a team where it's like, cool, We have like a bunch of decent European players. We're building from that. We can slowly upgrade from that. Device has been great. I just really like what we're seeing out of these guys, okay? So I think 100 Thieves will be better. I just think they've got such a solid structure, and I think they will exceed what we expect from them. I think for BC Game, they're going to massively disappoint, and I just think that's going to spiral from there. I really do. I'm worried. I'm worried for BC Game, boys, and I want them to be good. I want them to be good. I think they'll get there eventually. I just think it'll take a bit of time. I just don't see this clash working, but let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.